Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio. Let's roll.
Morning, Sergeant Major.
How do you know what kind of goddamn day it is?
Beautiful morning, Sergeant Major.
Are you a fucking weatherman now?
You're listening to Sergeant's Time on WTF Nation Radio.
Bring 'em off some.
Yeah. Broadcasting live from the Functional Veteran Center of Excellence, deep within the basement of the Pentagon, maybe in some mountain somewhere in the Rockies, maybe in the basement of the Alamo, or maybe Area 51. This is Sergeant's Time, WTF Nation Radio, U.S. Army WTF Moments. Too many tanks in the intro. I need video of staff doing MDNP. Man, our guest tonight is kind of like coming from a place that does all that MDNP stuff. Welcome to Sergeant's Time on the year of our, this is our Army Doctrine going to be a podcast, so we're just going to be shooting the breeze. Anytime I have military guests on here, I always kind of tone down the vulgarities and profane discussions that I have, due to the fact that, of course, that some of them might see this as a learning tool or a leader professional development tool for them to, use for their students or use for whatever. And I've had that done before, and I kind of went off script a little bit. And the next thing you know, people were like, hey, is there any way you could edit some of this stuff? I'm like, oh, then I guess I need to watch my language. At any rate, a real quick note out there for 4th Infantry Division. Hey, look, guys, I'm just going to say this. 4th ID has been getting a lot of crap for what's been happening with their kiosks, man. And I'm gonna tell you what, I don't know if look, imagine you're a command or you're an installation and you're being told, hey, look, not only are we gonna start shutting your defects down, but we're also gonna start building these little kiosk thingies for you to get chow, and now you guys got to figure it out. So I kind of feel I feel bad. I'll say this. I feel bad. I feel bad that 4th ID is getting all this crap for their kiosk situation. As you guys know, that we are partnered with Hots and Cots, the app that rates all facilities across the DoD. Hey, what's up, Heath? And I'm thinking, man, I feel I could not, as the director or the Grand Admiral Propaganda or Director of Digital Outreach, whatever you want to call it, that I representing the WTF Nation I got to throw the context out there, man. It is not 4th ID's fault that they're going through this crap. Again, I don't think you would be able to, or any leader, as a matter of fact, would be able to I don't say figure it out, but dude, chow it either gets fixed or it doesn't, and that's one thing about the chow part that I just kind of like, I feel bad for them. I feel bad for 4th ID, the Ivy division, and they're currently they're having like a bad winter storm, right? Well, summer, spring, something, a weird ass snowstorm has hit. And now they have had almost, I think in some areas, 2 feet where there's snow, and so they are on a delayed recall. I'm gonna go ahead and just put this up here just for the benefit of that. Look, these are the defects right here. The soldiers have several options today for dining at the DFAC, the kiosks, and of course the brigade HQ and annexes limited hours. Of course, they're doing meal preps. They're doing the best they can. Again, 4th ID is doing the best they can with the sandwich they had been given. So the adjusted hours for the defects and feeding schedule have been obviously communicated through the chain of command, but we're assisting them in getting the word out as well. Anytime a unit wants to say, hey, look, can you assist us and get the word out, we would be more than happy to get the word out and ensure that. That's right, Heather. They do have great resources too to get this information out, because the force needs to have that. And I can assure you that the information has been passed through the command channels, and so we're assisting them. If you do have any issues trying to get to the defect, hit up your staff duty for transportation to food pickup. But that's pretty much going to be the schedule right now. Obviously, we're looking at today, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Those are the ready kiosk and the first SBCT kiosk. And again, like we had Rob and we were discussing some of the stuff, and he was giving us the streets on the kiosk situation. It's going to happen. The Army is going to move to kiosks. So yes, this had nothing to do. Everyone's in the comments, hitting their inbox. Well, you posted that. Why don't you put the context in there of how come you didn't? Hey, look, yeah. It was a big coincidence that there was a snowstorm today. So it has nothing to do to the fact that they're having this stuff. They're adjusting their hours for the kiosks, for the troops, and this is what the leaders came up with. So shout out to the PAO team out there, Colonel Payton and Master Sergeant Bendarek. I hope I'm saying your name right, dude. For getting the word out, because again, it sucks. If this is what we're going to, again, bad rollout. I wish we had better rollout when it comes to this stuff. Or maybe there was a rollout that we didn't see it, or it wasn't communicated properly, or thrown out to the force. So that's my one announcement. A little bit on the okay, I want to say it. The social media news, social media, and in the Army and you. How can we assist you in this? I'm gonna say something right now. There's something there. How do I say this? in pop culture, anytime the military is represented and somebody of their group, of specifically of a Native American or Muslim or Sikh or whatever, and we see something that's like that, like say for instance the movie Predator, right? Everyone respected Billy for his Native American traits that he had and what his beliefs on, you know, knowing that there was something hunting the team out there, special ops team, that was out there, right? Everyone was like, yeah, Billy is a badass. It showed, yeah, Billy's a badass, and of course he had his jokes and his awesome laugh. But I don't get is that every time something happens in the military for real, like specifically when it comes to the someone honoring their native heritage, specifically when it comes to their spirit, you know, for their how do I say this? For their respect. For appropriate ceremonies. I'm going to go back to Billy again for Predator, the movie Predator. Everyone thought he was the shit, right? Special operations guy running around with his band, and he was rubbing on his talisman, and he's like, hey, sir, you know, I don't know, there's something out there. Maybe it's just nothing. And then Poncho says, you know something, Billy. You know, he's like, I'm afraid. I'm paraphrasing, of course. There's something out there, and ain't no man. And he gets up and goes, we're all going to die. And then Dylan goes, man's losing it, right? Everyone thought it was pretty cool, right? To have that spiritual mysticism of a Native American soldier, again, albeit in pop culture. And then when he finally faces the Predator, he takes his talisman off and he takes out his giant-ass knife and he cuts himself across the chest. And everyone was like, hell yeah, Billy is badass, right? At any time we honor a code talker, or any time we see a U.S. Marine Corps, a Marine, I should say, at a powwow, everyone props up. Everyone thinks that's mad fucking respect, right? Everyone thinks that it's, hey man, this is the shit. This is what I'm talking about. This is, I mean, the warrior spirit. You know, dude, I respect anybody specifically of a native culture that you know that we allow to do this. I fucking hey, dude, props, respect, all for it. So there's a major that's out there, and his image has been floating around social media. Major Patrick Sorensen. I mean, call him Pat. And he's wearing his native regalia, right, for appropriate items and uniform for appropriate ceremonies. That's what I don't get. How is it that the Rage Machine and everybody who says that the army is woke and all that, they get so pissed off when army people do something? I don't get it. This is just a question to ponder, WTF Nation. If someone is sporting this gear and it's native to his heritage and he is appropriately wearing this gear, again, he's not running around in a helmet, an Ops Corps helmet with his regalia on. He's not doing that. For appropriate ceremonies, he's even stated himself, this is for appropriate ceremonies. If you guys need to wear something, then fine. You know, this is this. Not an issue. But then this popped up on social media, and immediately everyone starts saying this shit's woke. This shit's you need to kind of stand out. You need to kind of like stand to whatever. If you're freaking going nuts and going issue and going, yeah, exactly that. This is an issue. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. I say man, of course, gender non-specific when I say hey man or hey dude or whatever, just West thing, I guess. Bro, whatever. I don't know, say, you know, because I've heard women say the same thing. I don't even know why I'm bringing this portion up the tangent, but just in case anybody gets upset. But Pat, I'm telling you, this is what he's wearing, and this is what he's accorded to authorized to wear during his appropriate ceremonies. Again, he's not holding formation like this. He's not running around in a tactical environment. Everyone's already popping the joke, saying, you know, everyone's calling him war chief. I kind of respect that. You know, he's again into their. You guys have to remember when people talk about we're all one, whatever. We're all, you know, I saw some comments like we all bleed green and we're all bleeding the same blood. Rah, rah, rah. But have you ever been to a Have you ever been to a unit hangout? Think about it. Have you ever been to a unit social and you see everybody dressing where they come from? They don't look like what you think they look like, right? They're all, you got some cholos out there. You got some guys that wear saggy pants. You got some cowboy looking attire. Name your whatever title, whatever. Because at this point, I don't even know what the fuck is you're supposed to say is appropriate attire or whatever. But within where their cultural backgrounds are from, and it's like it's frustrating to see everybody who goes nuts. I was talking about it today with somebody who's familiar with pop culture and all that, and brought up a phenomenon, and it's just like immediate, like when a specific movie that has a military background or military connotation, immediately everybody identifies to it. Well, like I said, Predator, right? Immediately everyone's like thinking, oh, special ops, CIA, running against the rebels and stuff like that. Until the alien aspect came in there. Then it became, all the coined phrases and stuff like that. I ain't got time to bleed and all this other stuff, right? It all kicked in. It all kicked into this, specifically in the military. I'm just talking the military now. When Dances with Wolves comes out, we just had this conversation. Immediately, everyone became native. No shit, you'd have conversations where someone would say, I'm a quarter Cherokee, or I'm a quarter this, or I'm half this, or I'm half that. It established a dialogue that we have native soldiers serving. Now, the way I freaking say it, the way I freaking see it, and all I'm going to say right now, is that if everybody was so happy and hey, yeah, respecting that, I don't understand what the issue is with Pat right now, with Pat's regalia right now. Not to mention the fact that it's thank you, Gary. I was about ready to say, as soon as fucking the movie Viking or the TV series Vikings came out, 13th Warrior, woo, buddy, everyone's a Viking now. Everyone's tattooing runes and stuff like that. Bro, you're from Nebraska, man. I don't even think are you even from the Scandinavian area? Can you trace your stuff like that? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's awesome to see people trace their lineages back by a movie, by pop culture, specifically in the military. It's good to see that. I respect that. And it's just like, it's like, what was it? I'm half dog and half parakeet, or whatever Tim McGraw said. I like Tim McGraw. But again, pop culture with the military always seems to elevate a specific group that immediately everyone tries to modify themselves to be. I know some people that were Vikings, or some people that are Abrahamic Christians that were authorized to wear beards. And the beard scene came out now because, the Army is on the fence. I'll just say on the fence. How about that? I'll say the Army's on the fence on the decision for beards. Yeah, thank you. I'm pulling up the reference right now. Thank you guys for reminding me on that one too. What about Sikh soldiers? The same thing with Sikh soldiers. No one's actually ever said anything. I'll be honest with you. I know some tough ass Sikh soldiers, and I'm thinking, all right, yeah, this is give them their respect, give them their props. We got a Sikh soldier right here. Is anyone going to give him any shit because he's got a combat action badge? He's got a Bronze Star. Oh, and he's got a Ranger tab too. He also has the German Schützenschneider badge. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not the Schützenschneider. That is the German badge of service proficiency without the cord. Everyone's like, oh, masks, and everyone even said there's even no issues with masks. I don't get it. I think this is badass. Exactly that. It's good. Yeah, he's embracing his culture. There you go. And we talk about this thing with the Viking stuff. There we go. So how is it then? We're trying to. I'm seeing social media trying to drag Major Sorensen, and then this is like, okay, being dragged again. Individuals are trying to drag Sorensen for something that he has had. Every white, again, he is not wearing this in his daily uniform. Again, he's not running around in his regalia. He's not saying, he's not commanding troops standing in formation with and stuff. Again, it just blows my mind. Just one of those questions that you need to ask yourself. Why is it that it's okay to see a Marine dressed up in their regalia and everyone's going ooh and ah over a Marine conducting themselves in a powwow? But then you see an army major. I'm again to those points. I keep going. Ask yourself the question why that's okay for some but not okay for others. The Vikings one is the one that trips me out. That's the one that trips me out the most. I see I'm a Viking and all the I'm a what was a heathen or whatever. Again, I don't care what your religious or your and when I'm saying I don't care, that means that I'm indifferent to what you are believing in. I respect for you as a soldier, and if your beliefs are that, then guess what? Then I respect your faith. I respect you being Muslim, Sikh. I respect all your stuff. Brad says he just wanted to be able to have long hair. Are you attaching a religious connotation to it or an exception to it? See, that's the thing. I am not an expert. Again, I am not an expert in such belief to where you think or I could even entertain the discussion. Is Major Pat Sorensen authorized to wear this? I am not. I mean, people try to connect me with the natives in Mexico, but I don't see. I don't know what his like I said. If he's authorized to wear it, he's able to prove that he's native and he's authorized to wear the regalia. Then whatever. Again, I'm just laughing at everybody, specifically those that have not served in the military, that shit talk and say we're going woke. Army's going woke. Oh, here we go. Army's going woke. Everyone's green, right? Yeah. Okay. I mean, I kind of think about this is that, the U.S. Army has fought has fought against on our own soil against the native nations, and I just kind of find it fucking ironic that just walking around with this regalia on, kind of like, nah, so what? If I was still in, I'd probably try to get my some of my stuff on too. I don't see why members from the Indo-PACOM area would not want to like Chamorros and would want to wear some of this stuff, have some of their tattoos. I know some of the New Zealand and some of the Brits. I gotta get with my buddy Rick, who serves in the UK Commandos, and I'm gonna ask him if there's any. I know the Gurkhas as well. They have their own specific ceremonial stuff, so it's not uncommon. But again, I'm just wondering why. When you see Army guys doing this, immediately it's been an issue, even though we've had Marine code talkers that are authorized to wear their regalia for their specific ceremonies. And you know what? Shout out to Major Sorensen for allowing this picture to get circulated because it's stimulating the discussion. You're also seeing those that, drop that veal on some of those individuals. Wow, I didn't realize that. Didn't realize you felt so bad that way. Some of the comments is that this is a clown show, or this is this. Me, I said fucking badass. I think it's badass. Could you imagine if our enemy saw freaking, our enemy saw our native soldiers wearing their war regalia coming at them? Now, that's not, me being a PSYOP guy, I think that's badass. It's all about that impression, right? I think personally that that when you see exactly that hair, the anti-native culture is really showing itself, unless it's somebody who's a popular individual like Kevin Costner having a movie, and now all of a sudden everybody wants. Because that's what happened. No shit. If you think about it, look, remember back. Immediately everyone says, "Hey, I'm native. I'm part something," just because they saw a movie or some influencer said something. People are going to disagree with it. Again, this is just for pure discussion. And if you agree with me, great. If you don't agree with me, that's great too. I'm not going to cancel you because there's a lot of canceling going on with some disagreements between veterans and members of the active military. Get a grip. It's okay. It's okay for Major Sorensen to walk around in his ceremonial regalia for the specific ceremonies that he is able to wear them at. I grew up being told, don't tell anyone of your culture because it's not celebrated and it's much looked very down upon. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly that. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to be ready to pull that slide up. That slide. God, here. I'm going to speak with the Army Leader Exchange, and so now I'm speaking all, strict doctrinally. Yeah, I'm going to bring up the slide, and we'll discuss this. We'll discuss this next vignette. Do you want me to just be like all Army and just be all Army and looking like that? But remember I was saying how imagine seeing native soldiers coming like that, and everyone's like, oh, well, we're gonna do that and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay, so what about the 101st? Thank you for bringing up that reminder. What about the 101st? Wearing mohawks and stuff? Ryan, let me bring up this slide. Make sure your fonts are matching. No. I'm not being evaluated at this vignette. In this module, I'm not being evaluated. No one's even have had an issue with native soldiers or paratroopers of the 101st getting their mohawks, symbolizing, a warrior culture. Like I said, man, think about this. Think about the enemy seeing, shit. I mean, I want to show it with an Aztec death whistle, but I don't know if whatever. So again, and let me pop up another one. Thanks for reminding me too. Yeah, there's another one. There's more. There's one. I think this is the one you're talking about. There we go. Look at that. The Screaming Eagles. I'm not even partial to the 101st. Well, I take that back to the 101st and the 82nd. I'm sorry, due to the fact that I graduated from the most premier, the advanced airborne school on the planet, the 82nd Airborne sponsored advanced airborne school, jump master graduate and AMO graduate. But anyways, I'm not even partial to the 101st. I think this is badass too. In our history, we've had soldiers that are exemplified by their culture, enhancing our mission. Isn't that why fucking speaking of the 82nd, isn't that why they called it the All-Americans or something like that? I know there's legends and rumors of why it was called the AA. But I'm just saying right now, it's or what about the famous D-Day one? Yeah, exactly that. Man. There we go. Yeah, that's the picture that I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly. Let me get to this other picture that everyone's talking about here. There we go. What about that? Right? Woo! You know what's funny is that when people talk shit about Pat Sorensen's regalia, they so want to be fucking soft or operators or stuff like that. They want to grow beards. They don't want to unblouse their boots. They want to wear morale patches on their body armor. But as soon as an army major decides to present his stuff, woo, buddy. Man, woke military's gonna come. Oh my, exactly that, Brad. People have this bizarre fear that if things are not completely uniformity, the army will completely crumble. That's right. That's Big Sarge right there. That's most Big Sarge, as a One Punch Dad says. What the freak? It would behoove of you, and behooved of you. Do you think about that? GoArmySoft.com. Native soldier decides to put on his regalia. People freak out. Oh my God! He's freaking. He's gonna wear this stuff. Oh my God! He can't wear this. This is unauthorized. Again, I think it's badass. Now it looks like. Let me see. He has an NCO professional development ribbon too. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to his. Yeah, I'll go back to his uniform. Let's see. He's got a. Let's see. Let's look at that. Yeah. And so he was a sergeant at one time. So. Immediately, he's part of the NCO Corps. Let's see, it looks like he's got an Afghan. It looks like so he's deployed to Afghanistan. Oh, okay. Oh, let's see. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, he's got some. He's got an impressive rack. So the way I see it, I'm just back off of Pat. We're stands. Again. Oh, we got a comment. Hey, you guys know that if you're listening to us on X app, or formerly known as Twitter, I think if you're on the desktop or I think if you're on either the app as well, you can actually go in, tap the image of the stream itself, and you can put comments in there, and I'll see the comments now because they fixed the app now. So now where I can see that. Because we just got a comment from X. Some people screeching woke drool over Jack. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me read this again. Sorry, my English isn't good. English is my second language. So some people screeching woke drool over Jack Churchill with his bagpipes, broadsword, and longbow. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I think it's badass. Sorry. Hey, what's up, Happy Cap? Whoa, what's up? What's up? What's up? Big if true. That's right. I'm not going to get into a philosophical discussion on DEI or woke or whatever, because personally I think that the media overdoes it anyway. So I kind of laugh. I do. I really laugh at that. I look back and I saw like, well, okay, what does it mean by woke? That's a question that is the same thing about. It's just, I don't know. I'm just, no one can really define it to me. AR 600-20 U.S. Army Equal Opportunity and Sexual Harassment and Assault policies that are written, I guess you could say, are the original woke. Are you saying that's original woke? Which basically says that you cannot discriminate on race, creed, religious background, origin, sexual preference, sexual gender, blah, 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 right? There's a whole list, right? That's always been there. And I don't understand. Now, do I think sometimes that it goes overboard? It's almost like, when I say overboard, I mean, it'd be the equivalent of somebody with already, we have a system that doesn't require us to have a leave form cover sheet. Then leave form cover sheet over something that's already automated that the regulation says you don't need other than a leave form, right? Maybe an LE has to check, but then I always go back and say, why do we have to have some of these checks on your balance for leave when as a command team, specifically at the battalion and company level, and everyone likes to, sharpshoot me. You get the reports that come every month, the unit commander finance reports that tell somebody what their leave are or something like that. Shit. Boy, I should just reveal all the stuff that I didn't do as a first sergeant that I was told to do as a first sergeant. That, you're supposed to have a leave for to give it a day off. Oh, shit. I was supposed to use a leave form for that. And that's what I think when people go overdo it. They overdo it. That's what I think about some of the additional policies that are on top of already an existing policy, that we forget the core of it. Now, someone will disagree with me, but I just think that's just me. If we have enforced these policies from the get-go, we don't have to have additional policies on top of the current policy or regulation or DAPAM. If you leave it alone and just enforce it, and there you go. Except for kiosks. I'm going to drag the Army about the kiosks because holy crap. I don't know what they're thinking. Either you, give them separate rats or have the kiosk as an additional stuff. But I'm going to drag the Army when it comes to that, because to me, that's kind of like, oof. We were blindsided. Again, maybe we didn't get it in the inbox, or maybe the Army G4 sent it out and we didn't catch it. I don't know. We didn't catch it at all. So, man, Heather's got a comment right there. Policy on policy is a result of policy not implemented with fidelity. Damn, I'm gonna take that in. Hang on, let me grab that and quoteth the Heather. Man, I think I just might. Matter of fact, open up the freaking open up the app right there, and then I will just and then add that quote on there what Heather just said. I like that. That's a quote that is under the the WTF Nation Radio's X app right now. Policy on policy is a result of policy not being implemented with fidelity. Deep thoughts with Heather. I like that. That is a man. Separate rations, more like funds for Ukraine. Ugh. More like funds for Ukraine. I don't want to get heated before the guest. I don't want to get heated for the guest because I have strong opinions on that. You guys know on the Monday show, the Monday edition, I play two videos representing the defense of Ukraine, the armed forces of Ukraine. The Come Back Alive Foundation video that I play at the end of the Monday shows. Yeah, I'm pretty supportive about it. I think our problem is that our government likes to place a lot of, again, we fail to fucking, it's like we can't walk and chew gum at the same time. Like, you know that there's other pots of money for stuff like that. The separate rats that comes to this is not, money has already been appropriated for the DOD for stuff already. It has nothing to do. I almost said vignettes. I know. It's hard for me to become institutionalized when I'm having a guest from the institution to arrive on U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio to discuss the Army Leader Exchange. It's people don't realize when they argue about money for Ukraine and argue for our soldiers, it's like, you guys know that the bad DFACs and bad facilities were already there before Ukraine ever came up into the picture, right? You know that there's money already appropriated to the DOD that kind of is outside of the defense of Ukraine against Russian aggression. I support it 100%. I do. I even got attacked. I don't say I got attacked, but I even got put on. Everyone thought it was a bad take when I said that we're all these Wolverines, right? We're talking about Wolverines, right? We're talking about kill a commie for mommy. As soon as Ukraine comes up, money's going to get wasted. So our troops are suffering. Man, have you not been paying attention to what your troops been saying for the last 20 years during the GWOT when they've been saying that there's mold in our freaking housing areas and in the barracks and our DFACs suck? Where were you then? Again, like what Heather said, deep thoughts. Just feel it. Feel it. Exactly, Heather. Feel it tonight. That's right. Share that shit everywhere because I feel it tonight. Exactly. Policy on policy, result of policy not being implemented with fidelity. Quote by Heather Elizabeth. Man, I think you need to like throw some papers up there and discuss it. Watch your lanes. Exactly, Ryan. So again, it's hard for anybody to walk up to me, but talk to me or try to talk me out of anything going to Ukraine. Because we've been there before. We were already there. We've been there in Ukraine supporting the Ukrainians and developing and partner capacity and all that and assisting, training, and advising and some of their soft forces as well. But it goes back for a while. So we've been kind of an interest in that. And if anybody who has served in these types of capacities know that we always get frustrated. Perfect example right now is Afghanistan. All the allies that we've had in Afghanistan that the Afghan National Army, the Afghan commandos, we have supported them a lot. And there's a lot of Afghanistan veterans that really are frustrated when they see how they're being treated when it comes to evacuating Afghanistan. The same for me, for my experiences in Iraq when I supported the Kurds in Kurdistan. I feel like we kind of screwed them over, right? I feel this. I have my own emotional. Matter of fact, that picture behind me is a painting of a KLE as a PSYOP team talking with the Kurds. I'm just like, we as soldiers have. I'm pretty sure the Vietnamese that we served with. We served with the South Vietnamese and then the Montagnards as well. We fight a lot of veterans from the war feel the same way. So it's kind of hard for me to sit there and say, "Oh, it's because it's woke and it's because of Ukraine and all that." Don't let the hype bother you. No, this isn't some masterful freaking PSYOP program that I'm trying to give to you guys. No, it's baby for this. Not at all. I wish, but please inquire within if you want to pay me for some of your communications. No, I'm just kidding. I can't say that. I've been offered several positions in the political realm, and I'm kind of like, I don't want to stray from the politics, but man, I'm just not interested. Just not interested. Everyone's quick to click outrage and complain about the military that they know nothing about it. I think if you would sit down and talk to a soldier just in the barracks of what they're going through, male or female, pick your race of soldier or whatever, each of them will have different experiences of what they're experiencing in the military. The same thing with leaders. You've asked them what level, what experiences are they having from their point of view. You're going to have different experiences. It's frustrating. It really is. So every time I hear that, money's going to Ukraine. That's why our soldiers aren't eating right. No, that has nothing to do with it. Probably going to get like dragged, or somebody's going to tell me something in the group chats that I'm not aware of. Why are you talking about Ukraine? So another note. I'm trying to say this without. I don't want to get everybody upset. I'll just say this. If you guys not paid attention to the articles on U.S. Army WTF Moments on the main page or WTF Nation Radio, you'll notice that there's a lot of articles that we post, right? If there's a call for assistance or there's call for attendance or something like that, you'll see it posted. But if you don't see it during that time frame, you'll see an article posted. And lately we've been shifting to the articles. Exactly that, Heather. Understand funding and understand how the DoD implements, where it goes, and how. And when it gets to the individuals, I don't want to say this, the stakeholders. I don't like that term, stakeholders. I don't like it. But I'm speaking doctrinally, of course. So when that funding goes to specific stakeholders, the way the stakeholders do it, specifically in those COCOMs or commands, they would like to. Oh yeah, can we say COCOMs anymore? I don't know if that's even G to G anymore. But anyways, so we're posting articles now. So you'll see in the time frame, you'll either see an article or a call for attendance for an unclaimed veteran, which is somebody who has no family. And one of the things that we posted was Davis Winke's article on suicide clusters and the 4th Infantry Division, and it's called the Broken Track Project. And it's a 3-part series, and of course there's other stories that are attached to it and all that. But it talks about how, soldiers enduring late nights and early mornings, maintaining vehicles, only for them to break repeatedly during training. And they said they were given an unforgiving pace of work and suffocating the spirit of those around them. Just check out that article. Just read the series. Today, I think tomorrow is part 3. The part 3 is tomorrow, the final installment of the Broken Track Project. And if you read these stories and if you see how it is, I think you can kind of get a better view of what the soldiers are going through. Again, has nothing to do with whatever. Now, I will say this, that some of the op tempo that we have, it's even gone higher than, I mean, think about it, because we finished Desert Storm, everyone got, shut down, units got deactivated, and it just felt like it was weird that it was just like calm, right? And then it happened, we had Bosnia and the Balkans and stuff like that, Kosovo kicking up. And it just, I don't know, it didn't seem like it was busy. Then Afghanistan and Iraq kicked off. Of course, yeah, we were busy as hell. And then I thought in my experiences that, oh, okay, cool. Now we're done. Now we can go ahead and have our, I don't like saying this either, but of course, doctrinally speaking, our peace dividend. And then that's it. And then now all of a sudden, we're doing these rotations to Europe and Korea. That's incredible. When I just literally remember living in Germany. When I was stationed there. I was stationed in Germany. Some of the places that I was stationed in Germany are now under GO1. And I'm like, dude, there's families there still. They're still, whatever. I know that's another argument for another discussion we can have about too much CTCs or whatever. Is big CTC, like Big Farm, is big CTC the one pushing this? We don't know. Stay tuned for U.S. Army WTF Radio, and we'll find out. Maybe I should ask Megan, too. Do we think we're doing too many CTCs? Oh, she'll get in trouble about that. She knows I won't play any gotcha games with her, but still. It's just one of those questions where I'm thinking, why is it do we do too many CTCs? Why is it that we have JMRC at Hohenfels, Germany? Why don't we have normal operations here, and we use that as a stepping stone for units to go deploy? So your certification is what? You go to JMRC in Hohenfels. And a specific BCT or whatever is getting ready to go, you of course, you maintain unit training, get ready to go, and your deployment is going to JMRC first. Then after that, then you rotate into your theater of where you're operating from JMRC. It'll be tough. Imagine going through the box and then from the box going to immediately, like in the same area, just driving to or getting your trucks and vehicles railloaded to where you're going to go, country wherever, country X. So in recruiting school right now, it's about to hit usury to put people in the Army. Any advice on how to sell the Army in this current environment? That's a tough one. That's really tough because every individual is joining the military for their own specific reasons. The calling of you have, I joined, I don't want to sound all cheesy and Captain America like or whatever, but my family being a family of immigrants and I'm first generation American, saw the beacon of our flag, the U.S. flag of being freedom, and it was an honor to serve your country. You should serve, do your part, and then you served your country. And then whether it was a 6-month tour or whatever, but you at least served, right? You served your country. And that way there was no, I don't know, it just felt like you paid your dues, right? It felt like that's what it is. So for me, for my experiences and a lot from members of the military of my circle of friends that I know, a lot of it's that calling stuff. It's like, why do they do it? America is the beacon of hope. America, I'm sorry, I joined the military. I always wanted to be a soldier. It was my childhood dream to be a soldier. And so for me, it was, don't get me wrong, there was some taste tests before I did it. I always want to make sure that, just because it might be your dream, it don't mean you're cut out for it. So I went National Guard first. And then once I did an active duty, I guess they call it an ADOS orders or IMA orders, whatever you want to call it, back in the day. And I liked it, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I know I'm good to do it. So now I can fulfill my dream because I was going to still stay in the Guard. So then I went active duty. But again, in this environment, I would say don't listen to the static. But, a big, huge but, it doesn't help when our leaders are not testifying to the truth of what we are going through right now. I mean, 20 freaking years of what we have war. And now they're starting to do it. I'm not going to bash the Army leaders right now about this, but they're it's tough. You got to remember, they all have bosses too, and it's hard for me to. All right, then say it. Say we have an issue with readiness. Say we have an issue with our barracks. Say we have an issue with this. When you're called to testify before Congress, and you have somebody who is accusing you of a woke agenda. It would be the time to stand up to it, right? Or to say, hey, you don't know shit, Congressman, Congresswoman. How about you come out? Like I said, man, General Perkins. At one time, that teacher went out there and freaking was talking crap about Americans and veterans and serving and all that stuff. Uncle Louie. And then General Perkins went on Fox News and say, I challenge him. I'll take him out to the Cyber Center of Excellence. I'll take him out to Fort Leonard Wood. I'll take him out, That was a passion, and we used to play that too before we began Sergeant's Time. Maybe I should play that again. But he went out there. General Perkins went out there and freaking told the audience, told everybody, hey, this is what the Army's about. And I think our leaders have seeded the information space too. It's the leader. I tell you what, it makes a big difference when you have a Joe is having a bad day and a senior leader just walks up to the Joe, hey, what's going on, man? Want to smoke or something like that? And then next thing you know, bam, you're like, oh, well, hey, Sergeant Major so-and-so's talking to me or General so-and-so's talking to me. What's going on? And get to the root of the problem. So it's tough. All right, so I think I'm going to go on break because I think Megan's ready to go because I see her. I think, are you drinking, Megan, or not? You can come off your mic right quick and you can say something. Are you been drinking? You're good. Oh, just tea. Okay, got it. All right. So we're gonna go on a break right quick, so that way me and Megan can prep the information environment and ensure that all her technical aspects of her feed is going correctly. I've been telling the audience, Megan, that we got to stick to the doctrinal terms and kind of leave the smoke pit out of it. You know what I mean? So that way we can have a good dialogue. So anyway, so we're gonna go on break right quick and shots. So stand by.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Take it from me, Ice. You can't just float around space not caring about stuff forever.
The voice of U.S. Army. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Shit in the bag, Pogue.
All you Jackie's and TV addicts. Don't mean to this, don't mean to bring static. Or you cling onto your grandma's house. Grab your backstreet friend and get loud. Blowing doors off inches. Grab you with the pinches. And no, I didn't retire. I'll snatch you off with the needle nose pliers.
What the evil you never seen before? Gliding in the glazing like no king in the fucking like a racing with the bass so not goofy like they're in a hate so I'm a hip-hop making your night with practice me running that you know all right. Remain calm, no alarm, cause my farm ain't fast, so what's up with that? I got friends and family that I respect. When I think I'm too good, they put me in check. Don't believe when they say I'm no better than you, except when I rap, so I guess it ain't true like that, Joel, and you just don't stop. Guaranteed to make your body rock.
Check it out. What's it all about? We're working out. Let's turn this party out. Check it out. What's it all about? We're working out. Let's turn this party out.
Say, Doc, what's the condition? I'm a man that's on a mission. Son, you better listen. Stuck in your what is an electrician? Like the scientist. When I'm applying this method of controlling my mind like eyesight of rap the too cool. Now, hey, nigga, but now what the deal? I didn't know you go for that mass appeal. So I'm calling to Lucci. Some of my data. I stole your mic, but you won't see it later. Cause I work magic like a magician. I add up the mathematician of the bank cashier. Engineer, I wear
In the whip, I'm gonna cruise past ya. Don't money, don't jump yourself. Put that back on the shelf. Blazing, yeah, I phase in. My crew's amazing. We're working on the record, y'all, so just stay patient. Check it out. What's it all about? We're working out. Let's turn this party out. Check it out. What's it all about? We're working out. Let's turn this party out.
now. I go by the name of the King Admiral. I don't wear a cup nor a job. I bring it that's beyond bizarre, like Miss Piggy. I am the one with the clientele. You say I'd rock, you rock so well. I got class like pink champagne. Let's see.
I am here determined to stop this future atrocity.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
Great. Ironically, that we started talking about the Army Leader Exchange in a different conversation, and now you're here. So it's awesome. Good seeing you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So, what you been up to? I mean, let's see. If you guys don't know Megan Jantos was the brainchild, the brainchild, the vertebrae, the architect of my going public at AUSA in 2019. And I mean, we're just talking about the amount of leaders that we've had. To Megan Jantos was the first one, and I'm sorry. I forgot to do a proper announcement. You were Lieutenant Colonel Megan Jantos. And at the time, I think you just got promoted to major, right? When you were starting to engage us.
Yeah, I think so.
I think
it was like right after CGSC and
yes,
that was over the third ID.
Yeah, exactly. You just started working there, and you started getting it at it, and I'm gonna tell you what, Megan was very, very involved in the inbox at anything U.S. Army WTF Moments posted or discussed or whatever. In fact, some of the dialogue that we would do in the podcast once Sergeant's time became more active would be from some of the conversations that we had specifically for Third ID. And then Joe Bacino, came on as a guest, and then General Beagle and Command Sergeant Major Gann came on. So you're looking at one of the pieces. You're looking at one of the vertebrae, one of the pillars of this engagement with U.S. Army WTF Moment. So I thank you again.
Oh no, thank you. I think that what you guys do for the profession, albeit sometimes controversial, I think it's important. I think it's important to have fun, not take ourselves too seriously. Otherwise, we won't get out alive, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So.
No, I hear you. It can be frustrating. I know being in at the time that we were discussing and then now it is a frustrating event, especially now looking at it through a different lens. And but yeah. So you represent the Army Leader Exchange. What is the Army Leader Exchange?
Yeah, so the Army Leader Exchange, the purpose of it is to try to inspire Army professionals, that's civilians and soldiers, to get involved in bettering the profession. And what we try to do is save them time so that they can do that by curating leader development content. And what that means is that we're not primarily a content creator, but we try to amplify other content that's out there into a newsletter, for example. That's our minimum viable product, if you will, that shows the best content that's out there in the Army and beyond too. So we try to highlight content creators that are affiliated with the Army, but not necessarily currently serving. Some are, some aren't.
Now, does it mean that is it like I mean, do you guys have like a subscription process? How does it work? I mean, it's because when I think of exchange, I think like the stock exchange, or I think like, you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so actually, Army Leader Exchange started way back in 2014, actually. It's had some evolution since then. And initially, it started off as kind of not dissimilar to this. It was a live feed of kind of a conversation amongst leaders. And then it also allowed people that were online to hop in and ask senior leaders questions. And so I actually discovered it, though, when I was at CGSC in 2016 timeframe. That was my first interaction. And then from there, it actually went over to the Center for Army Leadership. And they kind of evolved into more of a platform where you could go and get leader development content. And it was over there for quite some time. And then somewhere around 2020, I think General Rainey came on board over at CAC. And as he told it, is, he'd get a lot of folks saying, hey, this is a really good idea, you should do X thing, right? And he would think like, oh, well, we already have those things. So then he was like, well, I want to try to get the word out a little bit more. And so he decided to take ALX up to the CAC headquarters, CAC being Combined Arms Center, for those who may not be aware, over at Fort Leavenworth. And from there, what we did is what I described. Like, it is a newsletter. We have social media platforms, and really the social media platforms are there to raise awareness about the content. And also, when we have the bandwidth, we try to help facilitate discussions about leadership content. And so we've also soft launched our website, so it is a platform as well. But our bread and butter is that newsletter. So you can go to our website and sign up, alx.army.mil, and then you get a monthly bulletin with, information that we've curated. And we try to time it too. So for example, in the lead up to summer last year, we did a PCS edition. And so it gave folks information about, how to PCS or make PCS easier, as well as like, hey, if you're not PCSing, how are you onboarding folks? So just like best practices and whatnot.
I've noticed you guys have broken it down to, like, I don't want to sound I know because you and I have an information comms background. I don't want to sound like pillars or something like that. But you guys brought it down to like content you can use immediately, content to use for your organization for improvement, content to help you think, and then opportunities for you to drive change. That was in some of the read aheads that you gave me, and I mean obviously in some of the other times that you've discussed it, that I've seen. Guys, from here on out, ALX means Army Leader Exchange. So I don't want everybody, because that's the thing. You know how the Army is. They say the full thing, and then they use the acronyms afterwards. So ALX, content you can use immediately. What exactly does that mean? I'm asking, the way I'm asking is because there are some individuals that what do you mean content you can use immediately? What does that mean?
Yeah, no, great question. So like you said, the way that we structure the bulletin is at the top. I try to give some kind of context of why is it that we're talking about what we're talking about. And then in that portion, content to use immediately, it's about something that if you don't have time to read the whole bulletin, ideally that first bit of content is something that's going to help you right now. So for example, in that PCS edition that I was just talking about, there were, I think, 2 or 3 apps that the Army had created to help soldiers with their PCS. And so we wanted something where they could just click on it and it was immediately helping them. So again, trying our best to help save time for the soldiers. So that's something that's really important for our brand, and actually important for me as a person and a communicator. Is like, going back to the what's in it for me, for the user, the soldier, so that they don't feel like we're wasting their time. Like that's always something in the back of my mind, is like, is this helping, or is this hurting in terms of insulting them?
Right, exactly. That's the thing. That's like, you don't want to insult their intelligence, but you want to, like, it's usually some of the questions that we get in the inbox anyways. It's like, hey, I'm having problems with this resource, or I'm having a problem with this, or can we get into that? That's partly the reason why we partnered up with Hots and Cots, is because we ended up, for me, being part of the mold task force, to me was a great relief, because all of that, I mean, I was cataloging stuff way back to like 2013, 2014. Yeah. It's a pain in the butt. And to me, it was just like, as soon as Rob showed up and we got the discussion, and oh man, that app specifically, I think would follow to a content you can use immediately category.
Absolutely. And you know what? They're a great example of the folks that we like to highlight, because to me, they're what I call millpreneurs. They're people who are going the extra distance to give back to the profession. And I mean, he's a soldier for life, but he's not getting paid for that, right?
Right.
And there's 2 ways that you can look at that app. You can see it as a dig against you as a unit, or you can take it as feedback, which my boss always says is the breakfast of champions. So, and I say I'm hungry. So, you can take that feedback and you can do better next time. And so I think it's amazing that somebody took their free time to help us see ourselves so that we can get better.
No, that's a good point, because that actually can straddle the next pillar, I guess you say, the content to improve your organization part. It's not a counseling tool. It's not like you said, it's that snapshots, that feedback. One of the things that, and it was, we discussed this right before you came on air, is a comment in the chats that said, in a recruiting school right now, about to hit USAREC to put people in the Army. Any advice on how to sell the Army in this current environment? In that pillar, I'll say pillar, sorry, I'm just going to say it. I've been staffed institutionalized. In that pillar, what does it mean to be all you can be? That's perfect. That gets you thinking. I mean, I gave a really, I don't know, shoot from the hip of why I serve. You know what I mean? The quote of thought to action dives into power of positive archetypes while leading your organization. What does that mean?
Wait, can you say that again? Where did that come from? I'm like, that was really deep. That should go in the third pillar. That's our deep reading right there.
Well, it was prepare for tomorrow. It was under the prepare for tomorrow content to improve your organization. And it was one of the sub components, I guess, sub paragraphs. So what does it mean to be all you could be? And thought to action dives into the power of positive archetypes while leading your organization.
Well, so yes. Okay. Now I'm with you.
Sorry.
You were being theatrical and you had me like, I thought you were a character. I don't know. So I'm caught up now.
Take that as a compliment. I'm a character. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Appreciate
that's why you're a radio show host.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I have to. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go ahead.
No, you're good. So that pillar, or I call them buckets. It's a bucket.
There you go. Okay.
For me, is about like content that maybe takes a little bit more time to consume, and it's a little bit more geared towards, more than just yourself or one individual. It's there to kind of help you lead organizationally. So that's another reason why we kind of push it down a little bit on the page, is because we want to prop up the initial content that's for the individual soldier, right? And then, for old folks like me who, maybe have larger formations and they're trying to think about, hey, what's in that example, what's the archetype I need to lead or whatever my entire organization, then, it's going to take more time for me to read that content. It's also going to take me a little bit more time to reflect on that content and then come up with maybe an action going forward.
Yeah, it's tough because you I think sometimes they evolve too. Like you have to make sure you're keeping with a positive archetype as opposed to somebody who's that's consistent. You want to make sure you want to maintain that consistency as well.
Yeah, we call that branding, right? Like, well,
Yeah.
I was about to launch into my personal branding explanation.
No, you're right. But sometimes but it's like the audience sometimes forgets that the Army has to work a specific way to get to where it's at. And I'll be honest with you, it's to me, I'm excited to see this next evolution. I see it as another evolution of it. I mean, you're doing stuff at ALX that it's almost like like a foundry, like almost like brain trust, a think tank. I don't want to say think tank, but you know what I mean? It's just it's a fusion pit. I don't know, whatever doctrinal, lingo I can come up with. But I'm glad it's doing that because you're involving other millpreneurs. You're involving the art types that hopefully maintain their consistency. The content to help you think is the one I like always because I'm always in the books. I think I got more books than I got cabinets and shelves to put it on. Some of them are in boxes and someone will say, hey, did you read this book? And I'm like, let me go into the box. And then, yeah, I read it. And then immediately just recharges my mind, to start reading it. One of the ones that I liked about it, the first one in that bullet of your bulletin, the first bucket, I guess you could say on content is do you have a bad boss?
Oh,
that one right there. I'm glad you got that out in the open because that's like an eggshell topic that most people don't like to talk about. What's a bad boss or what's and develop your processes on how to act and learn from a bad leadership experience. It's like, does anybody come across and say, hey, why'd you put that in there? That's not, have you been getting any feedback, I should say negative or positive by that bucket? of that pillar?
Well, we do have a review process, but if it made it into the bulletin, then it passed muster. But that particular one I think is super important because we do try to, I don't want to say push the boundaries, but I think you have to have difficult discussions if you want to get better, And the fact of the matter is that even if your boss isn't a quote unquote bad boss, but maybe, your personalities just don't jive. And the only person that we can control is ourselves. And so, being able to say that that person is the way they are, and I'm going to take a look at myself and adjust my behavior to get the outcome that I want. Now we're talking about influence. And sometimes you have to do that up the chain of command, and sometimes you have to do that down the chain of command. And so I just think that's really an important skill to have, regardless of where you fall at echelon.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. At that point, you can just go by experience. You can't really say a specific, because there are personalities that just don't. They're never going to get along in a leadership environment, specifically when it comes to a staff command relationship as well. It's you're not going to. That's why I never understood that when I served on a staff and I hear, well, he gets it. I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean when he says he gets it or she gets it? What is that? And then I get my ass chewed out for briefing bad, or someone corrects me on something, or I see that individual get corrected. I'm thinking, okay, I guess they didn't get it, or whatever. And then I'd get told, Ken, that's not the appropriate time right now. I'm like, what? What am I missing? Well, what's the he gets it? What does that mean? It's like one of those leader staff functions. On this bulletin that was released on 2024, I love it. Cheap commercial drones are playing an increasing role in military operations. How can the military counter this threat? Getting the left of launch. I like that. In the counter drone fight, explores the options to counter the threat. I mean, at this point, and this is you speaking as a field grade. What do you think about the drone phenomenon? What do you think about I guess you would say the wave, the buzz, no pun intended?
Well, I think it's innovative.
Mm-hmm.
I think, at this point in time, everybody's looking for inexpensive ways to impose cost on the enemy or to achieve your mission. I mean, it doesn't even have to be about the enemy, but
right.
We're all looking for ways to be more efficient. And that seems like a pretty efficient solution to some of the challenges that are going on right now.
I think it's how do I say this? I don't want to say it's funny or ironic. I just think that back in the day, some of the stuff that we used to talk about all of a sudden is now reality. And now we're like, oh, got to catch up to it. Now that's the new hotness. Now that's we got to get on. We got to talk about it. We got to discuss it. Get on a podcast. Let's talk about it. So, and you're like,
well, I also would say it's not totally new. I mean, I went to NTC. I spent most of my time actually in armored elements. And so I was at the First Armored Division, and we went to NTC, and they did have drones at that point. I mean, that was way back in 2013.
Yeah.
So
yep.
We've been doing it. I mean, I remember I saw soldiers sprinting across the fob, and he had seen a drone, and he had some sort of gun looking thing he was about to take it down with. So we've been doing it. It's not totally new, but
right. I just think, I'll be honest with you, I think because the advent of social media and the advent of the technology to post it, I think is what got the buzz going. You know what I mean? Because my experience is back even further in the 90s, being in a UAS or UAV unit, I guess back then. It was Pioneer Hunter back in the day.
That's before my time.
God, you just aged me. Anyways, they had these little small, short UAV planner courses that they send promotable specialists and NCOs up to just to map like their plots. And I heard both. I was like, oh, this is never going to take off. These stupid little planes, they're not going to work. Then you hear someone else who's like, oh yeah, he's like they're like the little mad scientists ready to freaking build, another one, and they're happy to do it. I think it's scary too. I mean, when you think about what we're seeing in the fight between Russia and Ukraine, you're seeing real live BDA happening right before everyone's eyes, and And to me, I think it's kind of, I mean, to me, it's kind of scary. You know what I mean? Just like, whoa, because that could be us, or that could be us doing that to the enemy, or the enemy doing it to us. So, Andreas as well, and the cost reduced to a point of allowing more random development. He's in the chats.
Are you talking about my husband?
Yeah. Alles gut.
You're talking about drones and tech.
Exactly. Herzlich willkommen, Andreas, dieser Podcast. Danke. So yeah, it's to me, it's fascinating. I mean, when I was back in my SOCOM days, it was me and a couple of psyopers and a couple of drone guys that we just really got into the tech of disseminating information platforms and just messaging, and then using it for jam. I mean, it was so much, and then people were like, yeah, is it going to be now a general can't stop talking about drones.
Yeah.
Counter-employment,
Well,
I guess you say.
you know what though? I mean, so I attended this artificial intelligence course. I guess it's called the data-driven leadership course at Carnegie Mellon. I was really lucky that I got sent to that course a couple of weeks ago. And it was interesting to me because I want to say that they said the one guy started studying AI back in like 1970, right?
Oh, wow.
Like, to me, I didn't even like think about it back then. And then they even described that there's like they call them 2 AI winters. So like periods where people stopped talking about AI. And so I think sometimes it takes a while for certain technologies to take off, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And so, right now, everything that's going on overseas, there's a necessity for innovation. And so I think it's exciting, and it's also scary, like you mentioned, but also very exciting for, I think, the U.S. Army, for one. And that's why we're trying to generate some of that discussion. And I know that, the Chief of Staff of the Army is big on the Harding Project and reinvigorating professional discourse, specifically through our professional bulletins, having these sorts of discussions about innovation. And I'm really excited because you're probably aware a lot of the divisions are setting up like innovation cells, and they're capturing these ideas and lessons learned. And gosh, I wish I could remember the name of it right now, but at the Center for Army Lessons Learned, they just created a new tool, and I think it's supposed to be in this next month's bulletin, a new tool where you can go in and you can capture on the spot lessons learned with your phone.
Oh, wow.
At the point of learning, if you will.
Right.
And get that over to the center so that we can share these lessons more broadly. So I think it's a really exciting time to be in the Army.
No, definitely. Or being part of it, or being around it, or discussing it with the troops, or it is pretty fascinating. Also in that pillar where the content to help you think. My favorite, Mother of Tanks. Shout out to how you doing. I'm her Why We Fight podcasts are awesome. That is, I every time she'll post something, I mean, I use that to work out too. Anytime there's a podcast someone wants me to listen to, I'll use that for my PT workout, or for a drive or something like that. And every time she, hey, check out this one, and then I'll listen to that, and I will legit, it interrupts my workout. I stop. I'm like, wait a minute, what did that guy just say? Let me rewind that back right there. Holy crap, I didn't know that. And then again, like I said, it's just like that the analogy of me running back to a box. Oh my God, I think I got that book, and then me and her will go back and forth as well about that. Mother of Tanks' account, WTF Nation. It is an awesome account that you need to follow on Facebook, on Twitter, or X. And it's all about history. She is a historian. She's doing this. I think she's doing this by herself too. I mean, this is
so back to my point, right? Like another thing that is so important with ALX is I want to amplify these people who are literally putting in their free time, to create content. And she was creating a series for the Combined Arms Center for the longest time. And then she started creating podcasts. It's just so amazing that people can take their passions, take their knowledge, and and create things that make us better.
Right.
I'm just in awe of folks like that. And so like my talent isn't always that creation, I feel like, but I'm pretty loud, and so I'm like a megaphone. And I like to tell people about the great things that I find out there. So that's probably how I ended up in this job.
Well, I mean, a lot of it too is that she's not. As a matter of fact, let me do a window cap here and then just pull up her account on Twitter. It's her posting hers. I mean, again, I just look at it and go, dude, where did you get this from? I didn't know about this. This is somebody said loudmouth Megan in the chat. Ryan Vosberg. Do you know Ryan Vosberg?
That's my brother.
Oh, okay.
Looks like the family came out to support.
I'm about to say that's awesome.
That.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, nothing wrong with that. But I look at some of the stuff that she posts out, and it's incredible because, again, where did you get this information from? And that's another thing too. It's like, hey, where'd you get that? And then she was like, oh, well, so and so said that, and so and so said this, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, there you go.
You know, it's funny. Somebody, when she first started, so this was back when I was at 30D, so I think somebody thought because I was around tanks or whatever, that I was actually mother of tanks because it was before she had, kind of come out of the shadows, I suppose. And I was like, I don't have time for that. I'm running my accounts. I'm running 30D accounts. I'm like, who has time for that? And, she makes time though. She is crushing it.
Yeah. What's funny is that for her anonymity, she's semi-anonymous. I mean, you'll see her if you know her. You'll see her on public or whatever. But everybody knows her. But yeah, there was a big rumor that you were. I'll say it. There was like,
what you knew?
Yeah, I was
you
like,
said that?
well, everyone there was like, who's this mother of tanks? Ken, do you know this? It's got to be a psyoper or a PAO or a IO person. I'm like, I don't know what it is. I said, but she's crushing it, and whoever this is, I think is badass, and whatever, blah 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 blah. Because I'm a history buff too when it comes to especially like World War II stuff. And I'm like, this is I don't want to say this is a shady account. To me, it was more like a curious follow. You know what I mean? It's like, And then as we got to know each other, I'm like, oh, okay, well that's her. And, okay, now I know who it is. And but like her last post for I like her Valentine's Day or for Valentine's Day to celebrate armor. Guys, if you don't follow this account, not this account, Mother of Tanks account, you guys are missing out. Great podcast, great dialogue. And if there's a historical topic that you want to talk about, she'll be more than happy to research it. And then if you have the knowledge to talk about it, then you can come on and shoot the breeze with her.
Yeah. And she won March Masters last year.
Yes, that's right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Everyone's thank you. I have a question. Why does the Army not make a greater effort to highlight some of the cool shit we do, like the Sullivan Cup, for example? Well, we do. Well, they do. I don't know.
Well, in fact, you guys interviewed the best tank crew who won the Sullivan Cup when I was the PAO over at 2nd Brigade,
we did.
3rd ID. So you did cover that.
Yeah,
did an interview with all 4 of them.
I think it was the Army. Oh, I think they're talking about Army to do it. Okay, you want the Army to do it. Gotcha. Okay.
Well, I got someone else to do it.
Exactly. I mean, that's what we're kind of here for, to help out to tell the Army story. But yeah, you're right. Man, you remember that? God, man, that was like one of my first interviews.
Really?
Oh man, a long time ago. Yeah. Holy crap. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. I like anytime I get to talk to the troops, specifically Sullivan Cup. What was the other? There's so many cups. There's the O'Gainey Cup. Yep, the Sullivan Cup, the Gainey Cup. And then for the cooks, it was the Connolly Cup, and then the Best Ranger competition. Those are the ones that I like. So,
you know what, though, I gotta highlight some. We can't move past this because something that I really loved about that story, and I still think rings true. And as much as we talk about tech, that crew, I want to say they had like an older tank. The entire crew were all brand new except for the tank commander, which was like a staff sergeant, right?
Exactly.
And he took these young folks and he molded them into a winning team. So he didn't use the excuse of like my equipment's old or I got these newbies who insert complaint about people coming out of basic training. Like he took these folks and turned them into a winning team. And I just thought this is why leader development is so important to me. Because when push comes to shove and you got to go out the door, like you don't get to choose all the time who you're going with or what equipment you're taking. You got to take what you got. And he did. So anyways, that was just
no. You're right,
really
because
great
that was,
story.
I think, one of the highlights is that he took a brand new crew. That was the big story. That was the hype. It was that this individual took a brand new crew. Some of them like out of basic training. I don't want to say a crappy tank because none of our tanks are crappy, but a dated tank.
Yeah, other people had new tanks.
Everyone had all the hotness, and this tank commander just went out there and just ruled it. I think there's a follow-up to this. What I mean is that this doesn't seem like a big deal outside the army. The Russians, for example, do something similar, and they make a huge deal out of it. I think the Russians, don't they have like some sort of competition where there's a bunch of tanks jumping? And I think that what was it? The Indian crew or the Chinese crew? They got lost on the range. What was it, a couple years ago or something like that? I think there's a Russian competition where everyone goes and jumps tanks and fires on the moves and stuff like that. We talked about it. I mean, the Russians, for example, doing something similar, they make a huge deal out of it. I will say right now, when it comes to armor and the Russians making a big deal about it, they're not doing too well. They're not.
I'll talk.
Yeah. Oh my God, I know. Did you see that? Did you see that Bradley just decimating that? What was the T-90 or something like that? Like was the most advanced Russian tank, and one of our Bradleys that we gave to the Ukrainians just totally spanked it on the battlefield. So.
Oh, I didn't see that. I'm gonna have to see that.
Oh yeah. I'll send you the link after the interview. But
please
awesome.
do.
Yeah, I mean, I was making memes about it. By the way, U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio is banned in the country of Russia and Belarus. Every time we get mass reported by the Russians because we make fun of Putin. So Megan, we're probably not going to see your stuff in Russia. So sorry. Okay, so now
I don't need them to know who I am.
So that's a good point. You talked about that. The leader stuff. Opportunities for you to drive change, which is the last pillar. Get involved. You brought up a good point. That tank commander, just brought on a team. So it's all about the team. I mean, we have a soft saying that humans more important than hardware, I guess you would say. Spark change and write a catalyst paper. That was one of it. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, as an NCO, we have I'm looking inward as well. We suck at writing as NCOs. We don't. It's like, do what is there that we can do to, I don't know, get like a field grade binder or something like that, or an assistant. How do you write a paper? I didn't know how to write a paper until I was going to the Sergeant Major's Academy stuff, and I was like, I paper? What's a paper? I got to write a paper now. I'm just curious about what we could do for the NCO side of the house.
In previous editions, we've also shared writing tools or explanations. There was a whole pamphlet that was written by, I think, a CGSE student and a professor and maybe a couple other students. We published that in one of the bulletins too, because we definitely want to give tools to folks so that they can get better at writing. But I also would submit that people need to actually just write to get better, right? And give their work to somebody else and have them edit it. I just went through an editing process for an article that's going to drop with from the Green Notebook, and they had to bleed all over my work too, So I mean, I've been in the game a minute. And then I would also submit, check out AR 25-50. One of the things that I feel like has served me well in my writing process is just writing in that basic Army active language. Like, don't try to church it up. Just tell me what you're trying to say.
Right.
Because a lot of times, if you want to get it into a smaller space anyways, because if you drone on for too long, people aren't going to potentially read it, right? You want to get to the point and kind of get out. At least that's my approach.
Yeah, it's some of it. You can only capture the audience or capture the reader so long before you, like you said, you start showing. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then something else I wanted to say too is one of the reasons why we put that pillar at the end, is now that's like an ask, essentially. We're asking them to do something. And so I want to make sure that I've helped you as much as I can at the beginning of this bulletin before I start asking you for something. And then I also understand too, like if you can't even make it through the bulletin, maybe you're not in a place where you're able to put in that extra time to do whatever the ask is. And we get that too. I totally understand. Because I know for me, like, there's certain jobs I've had, or like when I'm at school, I can do a lot more in my free time and maybe reflect and write. And so I know that folks don't always have the luxury that we're talking about too.
No, you're right. But to me, I always think that, I mean, because that, like you said, I'm a character. I wake up in the morning with hype music. That's the way my mind thinks. And so if I'm reading something, I'm envisioning in my head. I want to be able to write like that. Like I'm not saying I've written some papers before, but it just, to me, I just think that we really, as NCOs, that I wish we could just, come here, give me a field grade and somebody help out this buck sergeant how to write, or hell, even a specialist.
Though, so that's a really good point. I will tell you though, no one that I have ever asked for support on writing has ever turned me down, like giving me feedback. So if there are any NCOs out there, you can email me for sure. I try to help people whenever I can. But that's the cool thing about social media. That's the cool thing about working in the leader development sphere is that there are actually a lot of people who are willing to give their time. I think people just have to ask, for one, right? And maybe even find a topic that they're passionate about. Because sometimes it's like, why would I start writing? Like,
right, exactly. Yeah, it's, what does this mean for me? Well, like you said, what's in it for me? Honest with you, if you're the subject matter expert on something and when it's in it for me comes out, there might be, think about it. Some people I always say, if you're willing to do a 15 freaking thread tweet, then you're probably willing to write. And I guarantee it, you'll be able to, if I were to read, because sometimes I'll just grab it and put it on a document to read some of these long threads because I don't like to read it. But then once I read it, then I'm like, okay, you know what? Then you're probably able to, you should write. Maybe you should, use
Well, yeah, but hold on. I gotta stop you there because for me, like that is writing, right? So if you look at March Masters right now, you can take a look at the bracket, and some people might look at folks on there and be like, well, what kind of leader development content are they creating?
That's the next thing we're going to talk about. The final bucket of the opportunities for you to drive change is the March Masters. Tell us about March Masters.
Okay. Wow. March Masters. So March Masters was a brainchild of one of our creative sessions that we had in my office about a year or so ago, when we were trying to figure out like, how do we create awareness of Army Leader Exchange? And then also like, how do we, bring attention to the folks out there that are doing all these really great things? And we're like, we want to make it fun. So learning can be fun. Like we don't have to suck the fun out of everything.
Right, exactly.
Right. And also I've always seen, Army people use sports analogies in their leadership discussions.
Yeah.
So I was like, and March Madness was coming up, and I was like, what if we did like an office pool kind of competition? And it was inspired from some stuff that, activity I'd seen on Twitter, people using polls, I think. And so, so what it is people get nominated into the bracket, or they're chosen just based on the content that they normally create. And then it's single elimination, head to head, where the audience gets to decide who is the content creator, the best content creator in their mind, right? So yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. I'm looking at the roster right now.
I can see that.
People probably can't see it, but here, let me matter of fact, let me grab the screen a little bit better here for a larger view. That way we could see who's on the line, because you got.
Oh yeah, there's some tough.
There's some tough competition in here, and I'm like,
I had to
wow.
close my eyes sometime and just write something in because I was like, you can't make me pick between those two people.
Right,
Like,
right, exactly. So basically, first off, how does somebody get nominated to the March Masters Championship bracket?
Well, so last year, just to be clear, we didn't do nominations, and then we dropped the brackets, and everybody was like, "Well, what about this? The NCOs, more NCOs, or what about this person?" And I was like, "Okay, fair, right?" But the flash to bang last year was pretty short, so I was like, next year we'll do better. So
Right.
this year, what we did is we shot out messages to various groups and our social media, just asking for nominations, and so we did our best to get everybody in there. There was a couple of things that weeded people out. Yeah. So we just tried to listen to the audience.
Right.
And there were certain times where somebody get nominated, and in my head, I was like, is that going to meet the definition of leader development content? And then I thought about it, and I was like, unless they're doing something overtly that strongly detracts from the profession.
Of course.
Like we need to try to include them because the audience sees them as leader development content. Like they're better because of it.
So I'm looking at look at some of the creators right here. You got NCO Journal. Well, so wait a minute. There's TBD number 16. What does that mean? It's to be. Nobody's in that bracket yet.
Yeah, no, up at the top there, it starts with the creators qualifier, and they're going to compete for those seeds. So whoever wins in that first poll that we'll have, the poll starts on the 19th of March.
Gotcha.
So people can go onto our social media right now, and they can fill out this bracket, and then they can submit it up until midnight on Selection Sunday.
Awesome.
And then we'll go ahead and take all of those and keep track of the scores. So not only is somebody going to win this overall bracket in the final showdown, but also folks can win by filling out this bracket and getting the most points. So so the folks up at the top are going to compete for the higher seed. So another interesting thing we threw in a little twist there is S1Net doesn't technically have social media, but it's one of the content creators, if you will, that's been around pretty long, and it has quite the email subscription. It was something crazy. I want to say he told me 100,000.
Yeah, that's about it. I think it's 110,000 or something like that. Now real quick, let me open up the bracket even more, because people are like, what are you talking about? You got like you said, you got some good NCO Journal, you got Call, you got West Point Dean, you got Army U Press, Leader Up, PS Magazine. PS Magazine. I hope they don't get rid of that thing. You got some good ones in there. I'm digging through and looking at some of that stuff right there. It's pretty good. You got
I got a copy right here too.
Yeah, it's like you got Chowder. I'm glad you got Chowder Hill.
Well, you can see we have the 4 brackets there, so that also constrains us a little bit too in terms of who gets nominated and included. We try to create the bracket for Army creators. Those are people who are actually like in the Army organizations.
Right.
Then we have the combined and joint creators, because another thing we wanted to do was, the great thing about Twitter is that it really goes across services, it goes across, continents. And so like Canada right now is doing a push to beat out Sebastian Bay, who's, from, he did a war gaming thing. So I thought that was a really cool way to do leader development, right? War games. So that category is going to be pretty interesting, I think. But yeah, Chowder Hill is out there doing great things for the Navy, setting the example for military leaders everywhere, really. And then we got the non-Army creators and then individual creators brackets in there as well.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, because you delineated the non-Army creators and the individual creators. And I'm glad you added that on there, because I see Hots and Cots in there, and I see Doctrine Man in there. And I see Med Pro COE, Call Sign. I mean, everybody that I see in there, I mean, you don't realize once you see the bracket like this, how much you're just like, holy crap, the Army. I don't want to sound doctrinal, but the Army enterprise really has a lot of tendrils out there. They have a lot of people they can use for resources.
Yeah.
It just
and that's the thing too. Then we didn't even get to include everybody I wanted to include in that category. And you think about if we were able to tap into their energy and the amount of effort that they put into the profession in their free time,
right?
Like that's what ALX is. It's a community of people like that who want to make it better together. So yeah, it was really tough.
It is. I'm just looking through some of the more names in here. Like you got some, and what's funny is that I shouldn't say what's funny. What's great about it, I should say, is that you are also introducing the Army profession to these individuals that are out there for that purpose. You're hey, did you know that call sign Cowgirl is involved with with this program and was one of the prime architects, along with oh man, I forgot her name. Another field grader. She's a field grader. Major Sam. What was her last name? They're the ones that helped develop the Army's parental leave guidance. And I feel bad not knowing the other one's name. I know her. We follow. She's on Twitter.
Yeah.
But it's those resources that some of the stuff that we post on U.S. Army WTF Moments, I kind of look at them and go, hey, am I posting this right? Is this what it's supposed to be? I think it means this. Am I correct? And then they'll be like, yep, make sure you put this, make sure you put that. And then bam, it goes out, and it's, I think for me personally, the more we know, and I guess this is our network, you gotta be, like you said, you gotta be motivated to do it. You can't be a Debbie Downer about this and then complain, well, I didn't know there was a source out here that can help me out.
Yeah.
What's you got like 3, you got first round, second round, superior 16, expert 8, creators clash. What is that?
So the creators clash is the semifinal title.
Okay.
So yeah. Something real quick I wanted to go back to about the folks on here though, and what we tried to do this year. So the first year, a lot of this was done solely on Twitter, right?
Correct.
So it was in a little bit of a bubble.
Yep.
And one of the things we wanted to do to bring awareness to some of the other goodness out there was go beyond Twitter and include folks from Facebook and Instagram. And so some of those you might not recognize on there. Like we got nominations from for Sergeant French, Gritty Soldier, Army Fresh. They also have a network called Military Fresh. A lot of those brands are really big on other platforms. And then like even one that got nominated that was interesting that people are still using Facebook so much is that Zoltan S1 Guru. And the knowledge that's coming out of there is super useful in your day-to-day.
Yep.
Highly recommend that one. And then also, you mentioned a couple of folks who helped get the policy changed. We also have on there Army Mom Life,
Yep.
which they do a lot of stuff. They were involved in that, I believe.
Yes, they were.
And they do a lot of stuff behind the scenes in closed groups because a lot of times, you understand how the internet is.
Yeah.
That women don't always want to put information out there for concerns about being attacked or put down, or
of course,
just being able to talk to each other amongst peers. And they do a lot behind the scenes that folks don't see. So if you're a woman out there looking for a community, definitely check them out. Even if you're not a mom, I think it can be good, just sisterhood.
Well, not only not a mom, but also, I would say this applies to male leaders as well. So that way, because you're going to have moms in your formation. You're gonna have moms in your formation, in your team, in your staff, whatever, and you're gonna have to know the ropes too on that. It's not that's a woman problem. If you're a male leader and you're supervising, commanding, or a woman in your formation, you're gonna have to know that Army directive on parental leave guidance. And to me, I just think it's the more the merrier when it comes to having that info. Because like I said, for me, exactly that, Neves. Moms are everywhere. They're everywhere. And so if you do something that could impact policy, some don't even realize that they're impacting policy, and they just need to be educated. It's not a ding on them. It's legit because, and I think the bubble, that's why I was glad that we're bringing this here to this audience, because on Facebook, that's where U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio primarily grabs most of their feedback. That's why I'm glad we brought it to here. So that way you could see it, you as the audience could see it and then understand, oh, who are these people here? Because I was one of the things about when I was posting about Cots and we had them on, and everyone's like, I don't know about this. They're when did it start off? I'm like, well, that's a long story. Maybe we should just bring them on, and then that way, Rob can discuss it.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Rob was that partnership we got now. It's I'm gonna tell you what, Megan, dude, it freaking, oh man, tracking all that mold. I mean, me and you talked about it when you were the PAO, when you were in Third ID as well.
Yeah,
got mold.
You're right.
Look at this with the mold, and you're like, that's not what it says. Look what it says. I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's look about this. And then I like that interaction with PAOs. I'm sorry, it's not that I'm like, the kids are like saying, oh, well, you're being institutionalized. No, a lot of it is something that a PAO or specifically a command is not aware of something happening in their formation, and I would rather have it handled within the command than they get blasted on social media when it was an easy fix before it got blasted, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. And I always took that very serious in terms of, I saw my role when I was a PAO as a protector of the reputation of the organization, I'm that first layer, and as an advocate for the soldier.
Right.
Because if we're not taking care of our soldiers, we're not doing our job.
Right. Right. Oh no, me and you used to go, you didn't know it was me at the time. Me and you used to go back and forth in the inbox, man. I feel like, our inbox is confident, is protected. Nobody will ever see the inbox traffic, but I could look back, and I did. I was like, man, Megan, I wonder if she remembers this conversation. I remember this and I'll look back and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like such a dick. I was like,
oh really? Oh my gosh, I love to read that.
because I feel like I looking back at what your intent was. When you look things further away, you start to get a little more clarity to it. I'm like, oh my God, dude, did I really just fucking tell her that? She didn't know who I was. I didn't know who she was, but still, it was just like you could definitely see we were both battling, and then we were both. And then all of a sudden you just saw it slowly change once you're like, well, so-and-so told me this. Well, here's what so-and-so said. Well, to me, just the evolution, and maybe because I'm partial to you anyways, because you're the one that dragged me out public, but it was that interaction that made me go, was also part of the process of having a public face to our organization as well, if that makes sense. Because then, I look back at some of the stuff. I'm like, God, I feel bad. But then again, we were both passionate for what was going on. We were both fighting the same thing, and it just like I said. Sometimes I look back, I'm like, God, I feel like such an God.
Oh, I don't even know what you're talking about. But I'm like,
it was a trip to NTC that we had that we posted something. I can't remember what it was. I just looked back what it was. I don't remember the details of the event. I just remember us bantering back and forth.
Wasn't the Jose Tamale thing, was it? It was
the recovery. I think it was the recovery part of it. It was Jose posted something because he was there in NTC, and then was reporting back and then throwing his reports up, and then that's when I think you got on to us and you're like, hey, what about this? And what about that? Where does this information come from? And then I'm like, I got this, and I don't know what you're talking about. Blah, blah, blah. It was.
Oh, they're going back before Third ID days, then probably. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but I remember I was just like, let me see what we talked about. God, I feel. Again, that was
water under the bridge.
That was water under the bridge. Water under the bridge. It was. I could just see the passion between us going, fighting for the troops, fighting for the organizations, getting the truth out, and then like I said, all of a sudden, it just like we must have had an epiphany.
Yeah.
And you were like, hey, you know what? AUSA is thinking about blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, everyone's looking at me like, I'm like, what? I'm like, what? Why are you all looking at me? And they're like, you're retired, man. You could do this. You could like this. I go, bro, I said, I've been living a double life for years, and people don't know what I've done and who I am. And all of a sudden, I'm just going to go, hi, guys. You don't like goofy.
What made you make the leap? You just trusted me, huh?
Exactly. That's what it was. It was trust with you and Steve Leonard as well. His dialogue with me, he and I would talk, or he'd jump in our inbox with some stuff, and then we'd share some stuff, and I was like, hey, I think it's gonna be me, and it's me, Ice. I'm gonna do that. And he's like, oh yeah, I think you should do it. You should do that. I go, man, is persistent. She's like, we need to have somebody at AUSA. This is something that I think is gonna be big and it's gonna be good. And then he's like, well, what's your gut tell you? And then he gave me that big brother advice, and Dan's like, yeah, dude, just do it. Just do it. See what happens. You'll probably break the internet. We did. We broke the internet because that was an awesome panel.
Yeah.
That was an awesome
standing
panel.
room only.
Yeah. It was an awesome panel. So for me, I will always, when it comes to Army Leader Exchange, Megan Jantos and family and all that, I want this to be out because you, like I said, you are one of few PAOs that stuck it out and said, hey, we should do this. We should engage, specifically in our media environment. In our media environment right now, people are going to be like, wait a minute, U.S. Army WTF moments and the Army have something going. What happened? What happened back in the day? Someone's going to misconstrue what we say, and the next thing you know, it's going to be on another podcast you're talking crap about, me being woke or something.
Well, we talk to all media, right?
Right. Exactly.
And some people might argue that you guys, aren't media, but I would say that, your audience, you guys, like when I checked, you had more followers. This was back in the day. I haven't checked lately, but had more followers than Army Times. So if the audience is going where you are and, they're saying one thing, like we need to be able to provide accurate information so that you can provide accurate information to your audience. So I think there, is a symbiotic relationship.
It is. Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because you with what we went through, that symbiotic relationship changed our TTPs as well. And like I was telling you earlier, I had another KLE with another PA team, and I'll tell you who it is after the show, because sometimes our interactions are not public. And I said for every one post you see on U.S. Army WTF moments, there are 15 to 20 posts that don't get posted because we engage.
Yep.
And we're like, hey, whatever infantry division or armor division or aviation brigade, this is what's happening, and blah blah blah. All right, we'll get to it. And then it's usually mitigated. So, and you're correct. Yeah, we still do have more followers than Army Times. They are at 1.1. They were like 1.6, but with the reach of 2.2 in engagement, and then we get throttled a lot on our page because that's why you notice that we get throttled because certain countries we've been attacked. Our pages have been mass reported or something like that, and then the next thing you know, you're like, dude, okay, well, you can't post something for like 3 days, or you can't,
Oof.
Your page reach has been limited to this, but
you're in timeout.
Yeah, exactly. We are an internet timeout for something that we're just posting. Somebody else will be like, but we've also expanded. We've assisted in the development of U.S. Navy WTF moments. That's their.
Oh, really?
We've assisted in their.
We've
assisted in their development. We've partnered and stood up U.S. Space Force WTF moments. We've so it's like we got gaming kids now. From what we started from our last engagement, we have grown. We're about ready to rebrand WTF Nation Gaming. So it's like, and they already have a following as well. So it's been busy, but yeah, your definition and my definition of media are different than what the traditional sense of that, are we media or are we not? Are we a hybrid media? Are we, what do you think we are?
I was just going to say a brand, because somebody was saying something the other day too about how, you have a brand when you can kind of come up with different products. Like Nike could make a hotel and you would get that. Like you could see how cool a hotel that was branded by Nike is, right? Yeah. But if like State Farm made a hotel, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Why? Like, why?
No, I can see that. No, that's a good.
And so like, your guys are out there doing all kinds of stuff, you know? And so that's good that they can't like pin you down, I guess.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. That's a fair definition. Happy Cap'n says, bring back WTF posts on X. They will come back. Our Twitter handler is out and about, and we can't say out and about to where they're out and about at. How about that? And doing things. So, and that person
somewhere doing things.
Yeah, that person didn't give us the keys. So we're like, dude, we kind of need Twitter right now. But Twitter has never been our prime, or never been our prime platform, anyways. But yeah, it's well, I appreciate that, Megan. Thank you so much for hanging out, man. This is good stuff.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's been so long. It's been great to get, and I love hearing your take on it. And I love that you went back to the messages. You might have to send me some of those.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Nope. You'll be next thing you know, Ken Ramos said this to me, and I'm like, no. Nope. Nope. Okay, maybe a couple. But anyways, well, hey, thanks again, Megan. Lieutenant Colonel Megan Jantos from the Army Leader Exchange. We've been talking about the Army Leader Exchange and to include March Masters. And I want to shout out to your boss too for letting you come on and hang out. I mean, this is, not too many GOs let their lieutenant colonels go out there and go, hang out with me. And I appreciate your boss to.
Well, I think he hung out with you, right?
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just gonna say that he's got no issues, but I just give him the proper respect. It's his house. So, well, see, there you go. Let's start another rumor. Oh, so he runs WTF Moments too. We already got the rumor that Pat Donahoe runs WTF Moments, but we won't say that either. But at any rate, thank you so much, Megan, for hanging out. We're gonna take a break right quick, and then we'll be right back, and then I'll be back to do some housekeeping. So thank you again, Megan. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you. Take care. Good talking to you.
Yep. Stand by. We're gonna talk later in a minute. Hang on.
There's a lot of tough talk on Twitter, but there's not a lot of real talk.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
If you bleed, you won't feel it, and you won't see nothing at all. And you can fight, you can hide that you're naked. If you bleed, you won't feel it, you won't see me at all. You can fight, you can hide that you're naked. If you bleed, you won't feel it, you won't see me at all. You can fight, you
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Sometimes when I look at, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, I think it's WTF Army or something.
The voice of U.S. Army. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
And we're back. Man, sorry about that. I had to take a quick coffee replenishment, refreshment, potty break, and also close up some stuff with Megan. Hey, I want to shout out again to Army Leader Exchange for allowing this interview to happen. I think this is pretty cool, and I appreciate you guys throwing some questions in the in the chats here, man. That's what I'm talking about. I like this target feedback. Can I say target feedback or whatever? I don't want anybody to get upset for me using that connotation, but positive and negative target feedback is always welcome in the WTF Nation while we're talking, but you're going to get engaged. And so, again, don't forget to follow the Army Leader Exchange for the March bracketing. And I think it's March Masters. I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious that in a good way. You know what I mean? It's like, this is what I'm talking. It's like, you know, when you sit there and see something, you're like, oh my God, this is so cool. That's what I mean when it's like, hey, this is cool. So again, shout out. I think Fourth ID is still doing that. There's a delayed response or something like that. Hang on, let me double check. Yeah, only two will remain mission essential March 15 due to inclement weather. Let me go over some Fourth ID information because this just hit the wires. Only soldiers, civilian deemed mission essential will report. Non-mission essential personnel will not report until the. Well, let me see if we can just pull the screen up and get it window capped here so we can look at. There we go. Bam. There we go. There you go. Make sure the IB division gets that word out. I'm gonna tell you what, they've been pretty active in engaging with us. Okay, so there you go. CYS West CDC is still open. Fitness centers are closed. A medical sick call report to each emergency room. Which is the Evans Army Community, each. Yeah, I know it's not each, like each and every emergency room, it's just the Army, the Evans Army Community Hospital emergency room. Inpatient emergency services will remain open. All Evans Army Community Hospital outpatient services, walk-in ancillary service, and administrative departments will be closed on the 15th. Gates 4, 6, and 19 will be closed. The kiosks. Raider kiosk is open from 9 to 6 p.m. The Ready kiosk, same thing, and then Slack IWR. Brunch, 10 to 1 p.m. Dinner, 1630 to 1800. Wolf IWR, Warrior Restaurant, I should say, is closed, and then Warfighter one is closed as well. There you go. If you are in that organization, make sure you share, like, or follow your organizational stuff. I guess also Kansas, Leavenworth just went through a bad freaking hailstorm as well. So be careful out there. Make sure you follow all local. But again, this is the Fourth ID's information to me, and I just want to make sure you guys and gals know about it. So we got next. We got housekeeping, man. We got some housekeeping. Let's see what's up with the show lineup here. And let me grab this, y'all. And Kaz, hey, what's up, man? From Montana. Oh yeah, greetings from Montana. That's right. That's so awesome. So right now you are listening, watching, viewing, hearing Sergeant's Time on WTF Nation Radio. Let me open up the calendar and see what we got. So today was Lieutenant Colonel Megan Jantos with the Army Leadership Exchange. And then next week, we have a bye week this week with Friday Night Freedom with Kaz. He's in Montana hanging out. I don't know. Is CQ going to do some tabletop gaming or something like that? Or the Grunt's going to do something? How might jump in there? I don't know what's jumping on Helldivers, but I need people to help me out on the Cluck and Bell raid, the heist on Grand Theft Auto, because that heist dropped and it's been fun. I'm a little bit of a gamer myself. At any rate, next Monday, on the Monday edition with myself and Massey, we have Joe Bacino returning back, stepping in the WTF Nation to catch us up on a lot of stuff. He's been doing a lot of stuff. catch us up on current events and news, because now he's I'll let him explain once he shows up. And then we have Yuri Lowenthal for Pop Culture Warrior on Tuesday. We have Brandy Pett coming on the Smoke Pit. And then Sergeant's Time on the 21st, again, moi, with me and Spain. And I don't think we got a guest yet. I think that window is open right now. And then Friday is obviously going to be a bye week. And then we have Daniel White showing up on Wednesday as well for the Smoke Pit. Let's see who else we got. We got Orlando Jones showing up on Pop Culture Warrior. And that's just like, that closes us out in March. I'm pretty stoked, man. A lot of guests. Friday Night Freedom, obviously. Do they have a guest? No. Monday, the 15th of April, I will have a guest, George Lutz. He will be joining me. And then Laura Carno from Faster, Colorado. Oh, that's pretty cool. Joining us on the Smoke Pit. So we got the guests are slowly starting to line up, man. That's pretty cool. In May, I will be at Fort Liberty, formerly known as Fort Bragg. And I will be there to represent U.S. Army WTF Moments and the WTF Nation for the PSYOP Regimental Association's commemorative Ruck March for the PSYOP Fallen Heroes, U.S. Army Special Operations Command, and U.S. SOCOM. So I'm excited. So I'll be traveling. That'll be fun. I can't wait. And then I'm supposedly supposed to be going to San Antonio. Supposedly. I've still got to wait the word back. So once I get the deets on that will be in beautiful San Antonio. I love San Antonio. San Antonio's the shit. I love it. So anyway, make sure you share, like, and follow. We're broadcasting live currently right now on 2 Facebook pages, 2 YouTubes, and X app. That's our prime broadcast channel on the X app. Hey, I appreciate it. Appreciate it, Branko. Thanks for the compliment, man. Well, I appreciate you listening too. So currently we have 2 YouTube pages, U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio, 2 Facebook pages at U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio, and live on the X app. Holy cracker. I appreciate the listenership there. I don't know if you guys follow us, but man, that's nice. Seeing some big numbers on there. Appreciate it. Let's see. I think that's a cover. It's been a while. Again, it's been a minute. You have to forgive me. My English is bad or whatever, because I've been speaking foreign languages for the last couple months before I came back live, and also my buttonology and all that. Still got to get used to the mic and all that. So I do appreciate everybody listening and all that. So thank you again, ALX and Megan Jantos, and thank you guys for listening. So with that, y'all have a good night. Shots. See you.
Hey, this is SEAC retired John Wayne Troxel. You're listening to WTF Nation Radio, the station of choice for all of the badass MFers on the planet.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.